Hello, my friends. It's important to note that there is information suggesting someone from Russia's leadership may have been in Washington last week, reportedly spending a few days there. This could indicate that secret negotiations are already underway. The flight path of a special Russian government aircraft suggests that a high-ranking Russian official may have spent 2 days in Washington this week. This could point to secret talks, the outcomes of which may become clear in the coming days. But that's not all. Late last night, Zelensky announced that the US is preparing an important decision to support Ukraine. It's expected to be revealed today. Friends, do you believe that today could mark the end of the active phase of the war? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Despite all predictions, the situation on the front line remains hellish. Russian forces are urgently trying to capture as much territory as possible ahead of a potential pause in this war. In the Pokrovsk direction, without waiting for the full encirclement of the city, Russian troops have begun advancing towards its outskirts, with attacks even recorded in the village of Pershetravnya. They are throwing all available resources into breaking through into the city. Today, a video emerged showing a Russian drone flying over Pokrovsk and striking a Ukrainian armed forces vehicle. The soldiers managed to escape, but the vehicle was destroyed, and after it, a second drone then approached to assess the damage and searched for a new target. So the activity of Russian drones has reached its peak. Additionally, a large number of Russian reserves are advancing toward Kotlin and breaking through near Novoalexandrivka, aiming to reach Dnipropetrovsk region. Heavy fighting is ongoing in Novoyelizavetivka, Ukrainka, and there are continuous attacks on Zelene, Dachenske and Lysivka. Ukrainian forces reports indicate that Russians have captured Dachenske and are advancing toward Chunishene, although this information hasn't yet been officially confirmed. Near Mirnograd, activity remains high with daily battles for Promень, Myrolюбівка, and breakthroughs attempted in Vozdvizhenka. Notably, Russian forces are also advancing near Tarasivka and storming Kalinove, significantly expanding the assault zone. So far, no significant changes have been recorded, but the situation is extremely dire. In the Kurakhove direction, Russian forces continue to push in the vicinity of the city. Fighting persists around Dachne, Petropavlivka, and from the south, Russians are advancing in the area of Konstantynopolsk and storming the village of Konstantynopil. Here, too, the situation remains critical as the Russians aim to create a new encirclement of Ukrainian troops. Current activity is somewhat reduced due to the regrouping of their forces and arrival of additional reserves, but looking at the broader picture, if this territory is captured, the Russians could strengthen their front line and free up significant reserves for an intensified offensive in the Pokrovsk direction, potentially completing their territorial objectives in that region. Most likely, these reserves will remain concentrated here with continued assaults expected. For now, the Kurakhove direction holds strong and the fighting continues. Ukrainian soldiers on the ground describe the situation as follows. Kurakhove. Well, the battles for the high rises have finally concluded. Our fighters managed to hold their ground there for quite some time. Now the fighting has shifted to the approaches to the TPP, where Russian groups have already begun infiltrating its territory. But this is just the beginning. The area around Dachne is currently the most concerning. Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups are testing our defenses within the village itself, while the advanced forces have entrenched just 1 kilometer 200 meters from the outskirts. The route to Konstantynopil is no longer viable for logistics. Of course, there are alternative routes, but they are equally dangerous. Point number 2 of concern is the area around Zelenivka-Ulakli. This area offers a convenient spot for crossing the Sukhy Yali River and flanking Ulakli from the southeast. Our soldiers are aware of the Russians' plans and are prepared to mount the strongest possible resistance. In the Velika Novosilka direction, the Russians are storming the city and advancing toward Vremivka, aiming to launch assaults on the city from the west. However, no significant changes have been observed, so we're waiting for the developments. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the situation remains calm for now. All previous Russian attacks have failed and they haven't yet dared to launch new offensives. As a result, no activity has been recorded in this area. In the Kherson direction, attacks continue in the area of the Antonivsky Bridge. Shelling of Kherson is also being recorded, but no changes along the front line have occurred. Now moving to the Toretsk direction, the Russians are advancing toward the outskirts of Sherbinivka and are attempting to fully capture Toretsk. The situation here remains extremely difficult, however, no new changes have been reported. In the Chasiv Yar direction, the Russians are storming Stupochki, and the battles for Chasiv Yar itself continue as before. However, they haven't achieved any new successes and remain unable to advance further toward Konstantinivka. In the Siversk direction, the situation is currently calm. All previous Russian attacks have been unsuccessful and no changes have been recorded. For now, the situation remains stable. In the Lyman direction, the Russians have reduced the activity for now. Attacks are being recorded near the village of Terny, and Lyman is under shelling, but there are no changes along the front line in this area. In the Borova direction, the Russians are trying to push further with offensive actions observed toward Novoplatonivka and battles continuing on the outskirts of Lozova. Also, they are storming Pershotravneve, Kopanki, and advancing toward Novosergiyevka. Further south, fighting is ongoing for Kharkivka, and they are attempting to advance through the fields from Makiyevka. While no changes have occurred, the activity level here is very high. The Russians are pouring reserves into this area, aiming to advance toward Borova. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are storming Glushkivka, but otherwise there is not much activity and the front line remains unchanged. In the Dvorichne direction, all Russian attacks have ceased for now. Despite recent successes in this area, no new movements have been recorded. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians have also reduced the activity and no new assaults have been recorded. However, fighting continues near Vovchansk, but the Russians haven't achieved any successes here. Activity remains slow and possibly limited to attacks aimed to holding Ukrainian forces in this area. In the Kursk direction, activity has also decreased with only about 10 assaults recorded in the past day. So far, the Russians have made no new advances. We await further developments. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.